Well, I think it comes down to business basics and business fundamentals, that you have to have a focus on who are your customers, how do you add value, what makes you different or special, and using these kinds of tools in a convenient and easy way to make sure that people are clear about your brand, your strategy, what you bring to the table, and engage them in a constructive conversation and dialogue. The key to your success over the years in doing this show is you understand the basis of conversation is listening and communicating and putting that information out where people can, like you say, understand it like a fifth grader. Too many of our businesses, we're rushing past having those core concepts, so we're consistent. So one of the things you need to do is you need to have a consistent way that you appear across these different types of media. So if you notice on the back of my business card, I have a website. My website is techaccesstv.com. You find me on Twitter at twitter.com/techaccesstv. You find me on Facebook at facebook.com/techaccesstv. You find me on LinkedIn and these other tools the same way.
Right. So it's consistent?
It's consistent. Then I have a logo. So when people get to your landing page or they get to your Twitter page or they get to your Facebook page, do you appear in a consistent format that says to them, oh, okay, I know this is where I'm supposed to be. And then is the messaging beneficial to the service that you deliver? So my business is delivering information about how people can apply and adapt technology to advance their organization, their personal goals, or their business success. So when they come to my page, that's the kind of information they'll see if they follow me on Twitter. I'm talking about workshops and applications and what works and how you could benefit, how you can take advantage of a special offer. If they come to the Facebook page, I'm talking about the same thing. If they come to...
Now, on the personal side or the fan page side, or do you just have one?
Well, I have a personal side, but again, I separate. My personal side, I might be talking about...
Mega Sci-Fi?
Might be something on there about fraternity. More than likely, it's something on there about education, about politics, about community, about family. But it's not about my family. It's about things that could uplift the family and the community in a broad sense. Spiritual concepts, education concepts, practical concepts for living a better life.
But Tech Access TV, that's on the fan page side.
That's on the fan page side, and you might watch this show on my Facebook page. I might have a video there with a link to my YouTube. So somebody might come to my page and say, hey, I want to watch this show that you did talking about startup incubators. Or
and I have to say this, you so savvy that I saw one video that you uploaded directly through the Facebook system.
Right.
And another one is where you just dropped the link.
From YouTube.
From YouTube.
And so now again, Ranoule, over the time that we've been producing TV shows here at CAN TV, we've seen this technology go from being unaffordable. If somebody said that you want to stream a show or do this, you say, man, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. You have to have a server, you have to have a dedicated server, you need to have a T1 line, you need to have all these different aspects. Now, these technologies are available where you can watch a video on your phone. I was sitting up talking to somebody, and while we were talking, I was able to bring up my site and play a video, and they said, that's you, that's your show. And I was able to show them that. And so these...
And it's streamed on it?
Streamed just fine, because most of these mobile phones today not only operate on the 3G or the high-speed 4G networks, many of them operate just fine on Wi-Fi.
But the processor...
But just they operate just fine on Wi-Fi, and you can find Wi-Fi in hotels, airport, convention centers, schools, churches. I'm up in my church all the time, and I'm able to, keep track of what's going on and engage, and it really helps the learning experience, because I can go and if I'm in a class or something, I can pull up a book, make a note, go online, check something, bookmark something, and that kind of thing. So these tools are really advancing how we engage if we have a plan, we have a focus, we have a framework, and we sit down and we put ourselves in a position to learn how to maximize these tools for our best advantage.
Wait a minute, you said, say that again, because I'm not taking notes. I say I gotta go home and watch the DVD. You said have a plan. What's the 4 things? Or 5?
Well, you know, we achieve what we think about, what we intend to achieve, what we expect to achieve. So if we say that I'm going to use these tools to get a degree, to get a job, to create a business, to connect to suppliers, anything that you think you want to do, and you start telling the universe that's what I'm serious about, the universe will start introducing you to resources, to contacts, to applications. So the universe corresponds to our primary mental state. It's our consciousness that draws to us what we need to be effective. It's not in the tool. It's in us.
You know, it's funny, on the last show, it's funny, the brother Mark Ransberg, we real close, we talk, we mastermind the 9 yards, and it's amazing, here it is, 72 hours, he made a request to the universe, channeled it through me, I'm listening to you, and I get the answer that he's seeking.
Right.
So it goes back to what we know, what you're seeking is also seeking you.
And again, Ranoule, I've been in the computer business since the mainframe era. So my first job in the computer business in 1980 was working for Control Data Corporation out in Oak Brook, selling large-scale systems, and our attitude was, don't call us, we'll call you, because we know who can afford what we're selling, and if we don't call you, you ain't it.
Right.
So, and now, many of the tools that have functionality that we never could have imagined are available for a couple of $100. Applications that are free, cloud computing and backup services that are little or no cost.
Let's go back to the basics now. We do have some viewers that's in, and I told you to get that pencil and paper, and we're going to tell you about that offer. If you didn't see the show last week, about we're going to start doing workshops. Some of the things that Bruce is talking about, we're going to start doing workshops right here in the studio where we're going to tape them live, and you'll be able to, it'll be interactive, and then we're going to turn the cameras off and continue the workshop. So you may be down here a couple hours, but that's not going to happen unless you call Bruce's number on the screen, call my number at the end of the show, 312-671-5653. So you can get on the list, because the last thing I want to happen is in January I come back on and I'm talking about some of the things that we're collaborating on with the in-studio workshops. I call them fun shops because people don't like to work. That by the time you contact us, then the list is so long that you won't be able to get in the studio until April or May. So please get that pencil and paper, write Bruce's number down, write my number down, say, hey, I want to get on the waiting list for the upcoming in-studio fun shop. And again, I'm not trying to be funny. The information and the experts we'll be bringing in, other than ourselves, you might have spent $500,000 for this information.
And we have companies that want to get new technology into the hands of people to use so that they could get feedback and understand what makes
user surveys and stuff.
Surveys, products. I've got application developers right now that have apps that run on the iPhone and the Android and the iPad and also on the desktop and in the cloud that are looking for nonprofit organizations, social entrepreneurs, startup companies that want to. Right now, Chicago's having a boom in terms of angel investors and venture capital investors. They took over a whole half a floor in the Merchandise Mart. They call it 1871. And guys are down there 24/7 working on new products, new applications and things like that. And they're just looking to bring those products and put them in the hands of businesses who can turn around and use them. We've had companies get started in Chicago in the last couple of years, companies like Grubhub and Groupon, and you heard about Uber with the car service.
Right.
We've got companies that are looking to put these.
I mean, Grubhub, you would think a fifth grader would have came up with that idea.
And
it's so simple.
And they're just scratching the surface on how these applications can be applied to creating businesses. We should have thriving economic activity.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Some of my viewers 20 years ago So they came up with these bright ideas, saying,
Yes.
"Oh, I want to invent this."
Yes.
Well, some of these same people and even younger people, now when you come up with a new idea, it may be just as simple as getting together with an app developer and develop an application for it.
No question about it. In fact, by the time this show airs, I will have spent a project with the Chicago Black Inventors Group, and they're working on just that activity of showing people to go from invention to presentation to plan to action to legal to patent to intellectual property. Just like when you see this activity, a lot of people watch the TV show Shark Tank, and they think that's a big joke. They think that's entertainment. But that's not entertainment to people that are on the show.
I haven't seen it, so what is
But
that?
basically, people are pitching new business ideas and growing businesses ideas and getting capital for that business. And many times, the people that are giving people feedback say that, there are 12 different ways you can capitalize on this business idea you have. You could license the product, you could distribute the product, you could make the product, you could have a partnership or collaboration with the product, you could have the product come up under another brand and be a subsidiary product. So you don't have to take, there are many, many ways, and fortunately we have groups in Chicago like the Black Engineers, like the Black Inventors, and this, again, not to be racial about this, but there are more groups in Chicago that are focused on assisting entrepreneurs, and like we talk about this concept, social entrepreneurs. So what that means is any nonprofit today cannot just sit around
I'm glad you said that.
and wait to get money from the state, the county, the city that is not coming. So that means that everybody has to put on their thinking cap, be creative, rebrand, remarket their services. And there are guys all around the country. You look at a product like Ben & Jerry's ice cream, social entrepreneur. You look at products like coming out of Pittsburgh, coming out of New York, different companies that are putting together where money is going back in the community to create training, education, full service health care for their employees, because entrepreneurs are creating businesses that are solving the community's problems. So if we're out in our community and we're spending money willy-nilly, we need to rethink that proposition and start spending money in ways that, you've been preaching health, take care of your health, watch what you're eating, go get the checkup and the test that you need to get. And then once you get yourself back together, well, don't slip back, don't backslide. Use these tools to keep track of your calorie intake, what you're eating. Are you on plan? Are you on progress? Are you making the kind of life that you want to make for yourself? So it's not just about, business and selling something and profit or whatnot, just if for nobody other than you.
So the average person that may not want to start a business, because we don't want to give you the wrong impression, some of you guys are going to continue to work your jobs if you got a job, and some of you are retired, going to retire. And just in general, there's a lot of things that we can share with you, and you are sharing it now.
Well, and people say all the time, I don't need a computer because I'm on a computer all day at work. What you're doing on the 9 to 5 is not helping you on the other side. You need to be able to have a device that you use for how you want to use it. Young people are showing up in the jobs today saying, you don't need to give me nothing. I'm coming in the door with what I have to get by. I just want to know how to plug in and connect and where's my app at. They're not expecting to sit down at a desk and be given the company requisition machine because they say, I'm going to take mine home.
Yeah, that's a whole new, I'm glad you said it, and I want you to come back and we do a show on that. There's some new consulting companies that's coming up that are teaching the old school managers and administrators and upper management how to deal with the new breed.
That's right. And the new breed is what they call BYOD. Bring your own device. So they're saying, I've got an iPhone, I've got an Android, I've got an iPad, I got my MacBook, I've got my little thin computer. I'm ready to go.
They made a joke. They had a commercial. They were waiting for somebody to come to the conference room for the meeting, and they said, "Oh, he's going to come." And the guy come in with a bunch of pencils, and everybody else got iPads.
But we're about to see a complete revolution. That these products, we've got smart grid coming in the state of Illinois. that means that the electrical system is going to be smart enough to be able to be managed from your mobile device. We're going to have public safety that's going to be available to people where they can keep track of what's going on. They can have the kind of safety that they expect in their communities. And so we need to be thinking about how can these tools create jobs, create economic opportunity, create community benefit, improve education. You know, some of the teachers, great teachers that we have in Chicago public schools were very frustrated because they said they could tell the difference between kids that went home and the learning still went on, and kids that came back to school and didn't have access to some of these things. You know, you made the point about back in the day when people used to sell encyclopedias and they said, hey, aren't your children worth $35 a month, or the price of going out to the movies and this, that, and the other. Well, we need to be saying the same thing, but we need to also use these tools to bring families closer together, so that it's what we're saying to each other and how we're saying, not so busy looking down and we can't even look up and talk to somebody. We can't shake a hand. We can't give a hug. We can't engage in an intelligent conversation at the dinner table where people are so busy tweeting and talking in the basement. Junior's downstairs on the Xbox. Sally's in the room on the laptop. Dad is with the BlackBerry 24/7. That's not an effective community. That's not an effective family. So sometimes you have to put the technology down, and that's what we're talking about by bringing the community into this experience, into the studio, where we can roll up our sleeves, talk about what our practical challenges, bring solutions to the table, and have some people walking out with a whole new capability and outlook about how these technologies can help them reduce stress, reduce anxiety, have a 2, 3, 4, 5-person organization operate like a 24, 50-person organization with higher quality, more customer service, more attention to detail, executing project management skill sets so quality isn't falling through the tracks. It's not letting information run you over like a steamroller. It's keeping information at bay so you can pull wisdom and understanding out of the information.
Okay. That's real interesting. I just want to let the viewers know that we're not just business focused, and you did touch for the non-for-profits, because see, looking down the road 5-10 years, a lot of them are going to have serious problems, have had serious problems. A lot of them are going out of business. And when I was in grad school in 2000, my instructor said, if you plan on starting a non-for-profit, you may want to consider not starting one yourself. Come up with an idea, find a good non-for-profit, take your idea that you were going to use with the non-for-profit that you want to develop standalone, and collaborate, hook up with them, because even if you did start it, the first 3 years you got to have a fiscal agent. So you would have to collaborate with someone. Now we're talking about not the 501(c), but the L3C.
L3C.
The L3C.
You've got a B Corp,
which is a different animal, and non-for-profits are going to have to learn how to generate some income.
But you know,
isn't that what social entrepreneurship?
Well, but Ranoule, I think we've had, you know, whether it's Ida B. Wells, whether it's we were talking about the brother out of Philadelphia that had the
Sullivan,
Leon Sullivan,
right?
You know, we've had innovators and people that have broken the mold. That when these organizations like, you know, the Urban League and these different groups, they've always been creative. So I think sometimes they have gotten a little stayed in their ways, but from time to time they wake up. And so I'm delighted to say that I think Chicago is on the cusp, but we need a new caliber of leadership. And we need to recognize that it's all about community. It's not just about following some so-called leader. It's about everybody having access to information and making intelligent decisions with that information so that they can use wisdom to guide their actions, not going willy-nilly with whatever's being advertised on the television. So the reason these information management tools are so powerful is because now the kimono has been opened. Now some people say that's Pollyannish. They say, you still can only get what you Google. But you know what? When you have in your mind what your game plan and your focus and your intention is, the universe has more in store for you than what Google is going to put on your desktop.
Okay.
You have to say, I'm the thinker that thinks the thoughts, that makes the things and causes the good things to happen that I expect, intend, and I'm not going to accept anything less than happening. So when people had to pay untold millions, you now have at your beck and call mobile communications, wireless communications, processing power, apps, iPad, the kind of things that with just a few $100s, you can position yourself using free online social media tools, metrics, monitoring tools, where you have the kind of prospects. And I don't care whether you're a block club, I don't care whether you're a community-based social service organization, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, everybody needs to be figuring out how we can, don't just keep throwing money away. You know how much organizations spend on printing stuff up, and then at the end of it's over in the garbage can somewhere.
Right.
Stuff that's not even being read, not even being distributed. Churches and nonprofit organizations spending 4-color brochures, and we're going to have an ad book. And then what happens at the end of the dinner? The ad book in the garbage can. We need to have mechanisms. One of the great things about these devices today is that, I have reduced my printing cost down to nothing.
How'd you do that?
By printing, every time it's a PDF, I open it up on my iPad. And if it's worth seeing, I can read it right on the iPad. I don't have to print it out. So I tell somebody, send me the attachment. I'll open up a Word attachment, an Excel attachment, a PDF attachment. I don't have to print it out. I can just sit here and open it up. And if it's worth something, I can read it. After I read it, I can dispose of it.
Or you can save it in a folder.
Or I can save it in a folder and I'll have it. So now many companies are making video content, audio content, available on the cloud, available on demand. So anytime you want access to that books, that text, that document, that piece of research, you don't have to try to be the Library of Congress in your own house, and the only person making money is HP on the ink that you keep printing and running out, and then you can't find a piece of paper when you need it. Turn that piece of paper into a PDF and keep it electronically. And then how valuable will it be in your organization when you saying, well, we got to mail out the annual report to 100 people, and we got to print it up and mail it out and print it up and mail it out. When you say, hey, I'm going to send you an electronic document, sign for it, I get a signed receipt saying that you got it, and then I have that for my file so that I can keep my workflow and my auditing.
It's funny. We talking about my cousin Milton Moses, Community Insurance Center.
One of the best in the business.
And he had Wayne Computer way back then.
Before anybody.
Used to have a big round disc he used to take home on the backup, and then he went paperless. Mm-hmm. Maybe as far back as 10 years ago.
That's correct.
Where he used to have all these file cabinets.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get in the front door.
In the office.
Yes.
All around the office, all those file cabinets going back years. Now it's totally paperless.
And see, these are the types of people like Milton Moses. I think of a friend of mine in law and other people in accounting and people in engineering. We've had visionaries in our community for many years. And we thought because they weren't in a downtown office building or they didn't have a big situation, they didn't come by and say they were from New York Life or IBM or somebody, we disrespected them.
Right.
Now we need to respect the authentic people in our community. I think of a brother, Nate Thomas, who helped more people get into IIT and get their undergraduate degrees, graduate degrees, and go off and make millions of dollars. And for the 20 years or however long Nate Thomas was at IIT, he made and produced black engineers and caused people not to punch out,
right,
but to punch their ticket to go wherever they wanted to go. But we forgot, we started thinking math and science wasn't cool, chemistry wasn't cool, who wants to be an engineer, and now what? Geeks run it.
Right.
Geeks run it.
Right.
And we've always had this capability in our community. How do you think we had Soft Sheen and Ultra Sheen and Johnson products? People were chemists.
Right.
They made up products and manufactured them and sold them. We had the best in the business, but then we got out of chemistry. We got out of biology. We got out of You know, where was the first open heart surgery? Right here in Chicago.
Providence, yeah.
Well, right here in Providence. So we've got to make math and science cool again, and use. People couldn't conceive of having this kind of computing technology in the palm of their hand, and now kids abuse it as opposed to using it.
Right.
So what we're going to do in the workshop, and I called it a technology lockdown,
Right.
is coming in the studio, closing the doors, bringing in the technology pioneers and innovators, introducing them in a one-on-one fashion to people that want to get their hands on stuff that actually work, not toys but tools.
Right.
And then saying, okay, let's sit down, let's build some plans, let's coach, let's mentor, and over the next accelerated process, we're going to produce the next batch of Ed Gardners, of John Johnsons, of George Johnsons that are going to come out here and build going community concerns, because we need a whole new fabric of community-based organizations.
Right.
Some of those jokers have been around too long.
Right.
We need brand new community-based organizations, youth-led community-based organizations, women-led organizations. You know, one of the best organizations I have so much respect for is Women's Business Development Center.
Right.
You know, and I told them, I said, I thought it was just for women. They said, well, no, guys can come down here too.
Right. I'm gonna have to start hanging down there too.
Because they are taking care of it. And again, always talking about these techniques. So there's so many free and high quality resources for the people that want to accelerate and want to come along for this ride. And maybe you don't have to always go to a meeting, but if you can get the information in the palm of your hand that can allow you to put the kind of organization, put the kind of plan together, to get the certification, to get the license, to get the degree that can get you to that next. There are plenty of unfilled jobs out here in key categories where 3 months of training, 6 months of training, a certificate, a program, there's nothing that you can't have that if you say you want to get it, you can get your hands on it right now. And instead of us just talking about it, we're going to invite people down to the studio and put the technology in their hand.
Thank you, Bruce.